I didn't care too much for this episode because I don't like gossipy bitches. I'll be 100% on. That's what they were. They were gossipy bitches. I did not care for them.
Housewives do be gossiping.
They do.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai, and today I am joined by our very own schizo psycho. It's Chinoda.
What the fuck was this anime? What was this? What did I watch?
What have we just watched? Yes, listen, we watched something that would turn anyone schizo. We finally well, I can't say I finally watched because this is a rewatch for me, but we've said it for a while now. We finally did it. We sat down, we watched Paranoia Agent. We've talked about this, about how we've done movie reviews for all of Satoshi Kon's movies that he either wrote or directed, or wrote and directed.
Yeah.
And the only thing we haven't done that he wrote and or directed was Paranoia Agent. So
we finally did it. We finally got around to it.
We finally got around to it, and boy howdy. Before we actually do get into this, was this your first time ever watching it?
Yes, this was my first time ever. I had no clue about anything going into Paranoia Agent. Nothing whatsoever. So completely fresh view.
Okay. I watched this, God, I want to say it was back in like 2008, 2009.
Okay.
I don't remember where I watched. It may have been on
Toonami?
I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's a good chance that's where it was.
Either that, or that was also back when Sci-Fi Channel had like its Monday anime block. It may have been then too. I cannot remember, but I know I watched it on like American broadcast, or not broadcast TV, cable television. And it was around 2008, 2009. So if anyone knows where that was airing in America around that time, please let me know, because I think it was one of those two, either Toonami or it was on Sci-Fi Channel.
Okay, so let me ask, did you watch this time sub, or did you watch this time dub as well?
I watched, in this rewatch I just did, I watched it subbed.
Okay, so you've seen both. I've only seen the sub then.
Yeah, now, I'd be lying if I said I remember anything about the English dub, because it's been well over a decade. I think, if I remember right, Johnny Young Bosch is actually in the dub.
Is he really? Cool.
I think so. But no, like, obviously directed by Satoshi Kon. It was, I think, it was definitely co-written, but co-written by Satoshi Kon and Seishi Minakami, who also wrote the script for Paprika, which, if you watch this and then Paprika, you can see a lot of similarities. A
lot of out there visuals and ideas.
To be fair, I mean, there's a lot of similarities between a lot of Satoshi Kon's work in terms of like themes, and plot points, especially when it comes to things like internal struggles that people have.
And it is interesting to say that this work, Paranoia Agent, was created because of so many unused ideas for his movies and such that he did want to use, and Paranoia Agent is the culmination of all those ideas being put together.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I did a little bit of research for the Spoilercast. That when he was working on Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress, and Tokyo Godfathers, he had Satoshi Kon had a lot of these like leftover ideas that didn't necessarily fit in those movies, but he thought would make good plot points for another story. So he got together with I've already forgotten his name, Minakami. And they developed a script that ended up becoming this series, Paranoia Agent, and it's very interesting. I think there's a lot of people who will say this is Satoshi Kon's like weakest outing. I would push back against that. I mean, I still think that Millennium Actress is his weakest, but it's not weak.
Yeah, none of his works are weak. It's just a matter of what's better.
Yeah,
I would say. And Paranoia Agent definitely isn't weak. It's
No.
got some strong points. It's also got some weak points here and there, I'll admittedly say, but overall I enjoyed it.
I would say that one way in which Paranoia Agent I won't say succeeds is the wrong word, but does better than Millennium Actress is because there's a lot of overlap between Millennium Actress and this, in that we see a lot of characters' internal thoughts visualized, like their internal headspace, their internal thoughts, which you see a lot of in Millennium Actress as well. One of the things that I think that Millennium Actress lacked was because that deals with things like, Jesus Christ, anxiety.
I was about to say.
Anxiety is the word I'm looking for. Like me trying to find words. Anxious.
Yeah, I was about to say, you having a moment?
I'm having several moments. I'm getting old, Shinoda. Maybe I am paranoid. No, like one of the things I thought that was missing was like a good symbol for the anxiety and the doubt that the main character had. In Paranoia Agent, you have it with Shonen Bat. Like that is like the best or one of the best visualizations of anxiety I've ever seen.
Anxiety, repression, just uneasiness, all of it mixed together so very well and so specifically.
And a desire to find a scapegoat. Because
Oh my
if you
God.
look,
The
almost all the
escapism.
people, almost all of the people that Shonen Bat attacks in this show are people who, number one, have a lot to lose, but also have things to gain by being taken out of the picture, by being attacked.
It's so very interesting because initially, you do the air quotes and you do it well. All right, let's get into.
Listen, it's a spoiler cast, so we can get it right out of the
Yeah,
way.
let's get
Shonen
into
Bat's
spoilers.
not really real. He's a manifestation of people's anxiety, their self-doubt, their desire to place the fault for their own failings on something else.
Yes, but isn't he? Because I say that because you saw in the last episode.
This is what makes it so good, because we can have these kind of questions, and it's like, is Shonen Bat real? Is he an actual
literally.
manifestation, or is he a real entity?
Literally 20 years later, we're still having these talks. Because yes, it is 20 years old. 21 years actually.
Yeah, this came
now.
out in 2004.
Yes.
So yeah, it's 21 years old this year.
I say that because in the last episode, we're skipping way ahead. We'll go back to the beginning later. But at the very end, you saw like the manifestation of Shonen Bat turn into like
An
a goop monster. Yeah, a sludge monster essentially, and wrecking Tokyo. And we see 2 years later they finally finished reconstruction of all the areas wrecked. So I'm just like, okay, so Shonen Bat was a real manifestation, right?
Maybe. See, I've always taken that ending to be the city being metaphorically rebuilt, psychologically rebuilt, and it's showing that cycle of paranoia, anxiety, and repression from modern society will actually just continue. Like, it exists in a cycle. There will always,
Yes.
at the very end, you see that, because we're really skipping ahead here, but stay with us. I promise we're going somewhere with
You
this.
see,
because
you
at the
see
end,
in
you
the
see,
beginning,
you see
yeah,
the
go ahead.
mascot character, like what the fucking
Monami?
dog thing, Monami or whatever, that dog thing, and then at the end you realize that character, that mascot character,
Maromi.
and Shonen Bat are essentially the same thing. They're basically both forms of escapism. One is escaping like reality, and one is just escapism into something that feels cute and familiar. and protective.
Which, as weebs, you should recognize all too well.
Yeah, but at the end, you see that new mascot character that was. We're led to assume that it was created by the same main character. Oh God, what was the main character's name?
Sagi.
Yeah, it's the new character, the new mascot character that she creates. I mean, I assume that it's her that creates it. But then, like, you're left with that visual of that new character, and it's like, my God, this cycle's gonna happen again.
And it's not just that either. You also see two other similar comparison scenes where people you see it much earlier in the show where people are on the train. Everyone is in their own world, thinking their own things
on their phones,
just distracting themselves.
This was in 2004, mind you.
Mm-hmm. Very telling, because the times are it's even worse now. But like at the end of the series, you see that same scene again, everyone with their own worries. You hear everyone's thoughts, their own worries, their own hatreds, their repression, and on their phones instead of communicating with other people in the world. Mm-hmm. And it does tell of a cycle of destruction, rebirth, of repression. It's so interesting.
Which means, first of all, Satoshi Kon was way ahead of his time with this fucking story, by the way.
He saw the future.
If he were still alive, I could only imagine what he would say about the shit we have now.
Oh my God, Satoshi Kon would make some fucked up
to be fair,
things.
like he was very forward thinking in this. Like, he realized that people were going to get more and more like lost in their phones, like, and we are. But yeah, like the whole thing, like Shonen Bat and Marami, they're just coping mechanisms for society's like denial of their own faults and their own escapism.
And at the end of the day, that's what this whole story is about denying, about repression, about escaping, collective delusion. So it's interesting.
That is one difference between this and a lot of Satoshi Kon's other works, because like you look at Perfect Blue, Millennium Actress, Paprika. I mean, not so much Tokyo Godfathers, because I feel like that one's way more grounded in reality than any of his other works. It's still a phenomenal movie. But if you look at all those tend to revolve around a form of like individual delusion, individual anxiety, individual self-doubt. But with Paranoia Agent, it's more analyzing like a society, a whole collective of people that are all going through this pretty much simultaneously, and they're just interpreting it in different ways.
Yes. It is interesting to pivot just a little bit. Initially, when we were first in the first couple of episodes of the show, I was very much questioning if not Metal Bat,
Shonen Bat,
thank you. Shonen Bat was even real, because I was like, okay, I kind of see the theme, I can see what's going on. Understand the cycle of like repression. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, is it Psychobat doing this, or is it Psychobat?
I like how you keep calling him Psychobat.
I don't know why. He's a psychopath, that's why.
He's Batman.
Shonen
No.
No, don't get us CMCA'd. No, because, and I was just like, okay, is Shonen Bat actually real, or are these people doing it to themselves? Because so far, I see these people who are backed into corners. If they can get out of this corner by being taken out somehow, some way, then they stand to profit or just not be burdened. And I'm just like, okay, maybe that's a line of thinking that's going to go somewhere, maybe it's not. Turns out my line of thinking was actually correct, and I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. But then
it's funny you say that, because there's one person in this who's backed into a corner almost the entire time and yet never gets like attacked by Shonen Bat, and that's the main detective guy, because he's constantly backed into a corner. He doesn't understand how to proceed with the investigation.
I would argue It's because he didn't care that much. It has to be that's the reason.
That is true, because near the end that's how he breaks out of his own delusion, where he just he says he doesn't care anymore.
And it's funny. I think it takes someone of many years of not spite, but
well, he says that society's moved on from needing his type of investigation. He's at the end of his career, and the methods that he employed for years that were so successful aren't really what society wants anymore in a detective or an investigator. So he feels jaded.
Maybe that's it. A jaded person. That's what it takes. Someone jaded enough to not care about what society thinks or face responsibility for what they're responsible for.
Yeah. I mean, because you look at the kid that they arrest that they think is Shonen Bat is really just an imposter. And the only one, or I think he only does 2 of the attacks. Is it
yes,
2 or
he
3?
only did 2 of them.
And one of them was the school kid who was running for class president. And the other, what was the other one? Oh God, what was the other one? Was it the sleazy? I never understood what he was supposed to be. Detective? No.
The writer. He was a writer.
The writer.
Yeah.
Writer.
He was a
yes.
journalist.
Yeah, a journalist who apparently perved on his own daughter. That was weird.
Okay, I want to go into that real quick. I don't know if it was him that did that or if it was the Yakuza that did that, because you can see he got the money from the Yakuza, and he, I'm assuming, got help with the building from the Yakuza. So I wonder if they were the ones that did it, because he does seem like a sleazy scumbag, but he seemed like he cared about his family a lot. Go ahead.
I think it was him, and the Yakuza was the ones that forced him to do it.
That's also a possibility.
And his daughter found out about that, and that's why they're estranged.
Which, it's so funny because they leave open so many of these possibilities. They never address who did it or why. They just, it is something that happened, but not from what angle. Who did it? Obviously, we know why, actually.
I mean, I one of the things I did love about this is how you kind of see how one incident can happen, right, in a society, and it goes on the news, and you see how it can spread, because as the series goes on, because while there is a through line of Shonen Bad and collective delusion and stuff that runs through the entire series, the series is almost anthology-like in the sense that every episode or every other episode, we tend to focus on different characters, but with the overarching through line that goes through the series of Shonen Bat. And some of my favorite episodes are the ones that don't even revolve around the investigation into who Shonen Bat is. Oh God, what was the title of that episode? By the way, all the episode titles are very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, Enter Little Slugger, The Golden Shoes, Double Lips, A Man's Path, The Holy Warrior, Fear of Direct Hit.
The one I'm thinking of is
Happy Family Planning.
I love that episode because it seems to have almost nothing to do with the rest of the series until the very end, when you actually see Shonen Bat try to attack the people there, because the whole episode revolves around these 3 people who meet online and want to commit suicide. They want to kill themselves, and they go about some of the most comedically bad ways to do it.
It's so funny. Alex, I have to tell you, that was my favorite episode of this entire series.
Which is so funny because tonally it's different than every other episode in this entire series.
It's a dark comedy episode, and it was done so well.
And it has one of the most dark things that I've ever laughed at in anime, and I laughed at it the first time I saw this back several years ago. And I laughed at it again when I rewatched it here for this spoiler cast, where they get the idea they're gonna jump in front of a train to kill themselves, and they go down to the subway station. They're like, all right, and the train is comes like, all right, get ready, and before they can jump, someone does it before them. And it does like that instantaneous match cut where you see the guy jump in front of the train, and then it's just a reaction, like a match cut reaction shot, and it's, I don't know why, but that gets me every time. It's hysterically funny.
It was genuinely funny because they were like, what the fuck, we were gonna do that, what the shit, man.
It's like what the it's like it's like they don't mean what the fuck, Richard.
I love that. I genuinely did. And then like their faces as they see the body afterwards, and they're just like, oh, that looked painful. We don't want to do that. I'm just like,
the one thing about this episode that I think does not maybe it's me looking too far into it. Maybe not. I don't know. Is that it's one of them is kind of an older gentleman. The other one is a guy who's definitely an adult, but I think maybe a little bit on the spectrum. I'm just going to put that out there. And another person who is definitely an underage child.
I don't think he was on the spectrum. The other guy?
Yeah, the tall guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's younger, but I think he's supposed to be an adult.
He is he's a young adult.
Like, I think he's like in his like maybe late 20s, perhaps.
That's the vibe I got him. Late 20s, early 30s.
And the reason I say this is because it's called Happy Family Planning, and the final scene of that episode is a zoom in on a condom machine with these two older gentlemen carting around a younger female child.
Hold on, don't make it weird, because they actually...
I am not the one that directed this.
Fair. I'm not so sure about the condom thing. There's a lot of explanations I looked at for that, but none of them really made that much sense. But you understand where all of them come from and why they wanted to commit suicide.
Yeah, and I get the juxtaposition of, like, it's a sort of found family thing, because obviously none of them are related, but yet they've found each other through this modern technology called the internet.
Yep, chat rooms.
Yeah, like old school bulletin boards and shit. I don't know, Satoshi Kon, I don't know what you were implying by that zoom in on the condom machine with the two older gentlemen, walking hand in hand with an underage girl.
Okay. I need to tackle you right there and stop you, because, like, one, the young guy, he was gay. That's why.
That's true.
That's why he committed suicide. At least that's the
that's why he wants
reason.
to.
No, he did. They're all dead.
That's true.
Yeah, like they were all dead probably the whole time. They didn't.
Man, if the afterlife is real and I come back, I don't really want to reenact my suicide as a ghost. What a sad afterlife that must be, where you have to constantly reenact your death.
I have
especially if you fail at it. Especially if you fail at it several times.
I have a feeling it's because they were stuck more than anything for some reason.
I never even thought of it as maybe they're stuck in like a limbo state or like a purgatory.
Yeah, because they didn't realize that they were dead for a good while.
I never even thought about it like that they were like stuck in this like perpetual purgatory because they maybe because their souls just couldn't move on.
Maybe I have a feeling it couldn't move on because they didn't realize they were dead in the first place. They were still on the mortal plane, so to speak.
That's why Shonen Bat attacks them, because they have anxiety over being dead.
Okay, and that's the other thing. Shonen Bat didn't attack them. That episode.
Well, no, attack the place they were at.
Yeah, Shonen Bat attacked a person that was there. We don't know why.
And then
But
they do this Looney Tunes ass
The
chase
Looney
to the
Tunes,
hotel.
and then when they realize, oh, it's Shonen Bat there, like he can kill us. They get so excited, and Shonen Bat realizes what they are, and you see it doing something that it never does to anyone else. It runs away because it doesn't know how to deal with spirits like that. Like it just starts running away, and it turns to a funny ass Looney Tunes segment. I genuinely love that, but it's funny because you see that, and it's peppered on throughout the whole episode. The fact that they're not alive. You see the fact that they don't have shadows. People aren't reacting to them at all. Just so many little hints dropped here and there, and you don't realize it until the very end what exactly it is. That's
I
when
didn't
you
even realize.
piece
I didn't even
everything
realize until you brought it up that it's a possibility that they could be stuck in some kind of a limbo state, and like they have to reenact this stuff until their soul learns a lesson to move on.
I have a feeling it's something like that because they didn't even realize they were dead. Like they didn't realize
that's the
until
whole
the
thing.
very end.
Like that's the Christian concept of what like purgatory is. Like you go there because you weren't necessarily a good person, but you didn't do something that was bad enough to get you damned to hell. You just have to learn a lesson before you can get to heaven.
And I got sidetracked, but like to get back to where I was, the young guy is gay. That's essentially why he committed suicide. The old guy, I have a feeling because if you saw the banner for the candy he was wearing, that's how do you say it? Chitose candy.
Yeah.
Now for those who don't know, Chitose candy is traditionally given to very young children as a celebration of them surviving early childhood, being a baby, essentially, because
surviving early childhood.
No, I mean that's
make it sound like a war zone.
No, but like it's a legitimate thing. A lot of there used to be most of human history, babies did not survive. Was not guaranteed to survive the first couple of years. There was a lot of traditions. Babies didn't even get names until they reached a certain age because you didn't know if they would survive or not. And that's a very real thing. That was just how human history was for the vast majority of it. Our survival rate is at the best at the moment. Now, I say all this to say he carries that candy around. We think because someone related to him more than likely died at very early childhood, so he could never give away the candy to the one he wanted to give it to.
Maybe it was his daughter.
That's what I'm thinking. His daughter or granddaughter, more than likely his daughter.
Which would explain why he gets like so attached to the young child.
Yeah, he doesn't have anyone to give the candy to, and he was all by himself. That's why he wanted to pass on. And you get that one little hint of him being asleep on the train, and he says a name, and that's the only connection you can make for that and the candy. You have to put 2 and 2 together, and that's the only 2 hints you get for his story. You never get the hint for the little girl. All you hear from her is she never wants to be left alone again. So her thing, I think, is she was abandoned by everyone,
or her parents died,
which is also a possible abandonment.
Yeah, it's. I mean, being orphaned it can feel probably about as bad as being abandoned.
Yes. So either everyone left her, or she became an orphan somehow, and everyone has their different circumstances. But that's how they all interconnect, because they all wanted to die.
If they're all already dead, they could also be from different time periods.
I don't know about that. They never hinted about any time period differences. I mean, it's a possibility, but I have a feeling they died together.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling we found
family
them
planning.
We found them as they were alive, and we find them as they died as well. Oh, and another thing for the old man, you see him taking the last pill, but then you see the last pill again later, and that's where you should really pay attention. You're like, wait, how does he have the last pill if he already took the last pill?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so many little things.
This a good reason why I love this is because like it feels like an anthology, but it also still feels connected to the rest of the series. You could say the same thing for the episode that comes directly after that, which is it's just called Etc.
MHZ.
It's the housewives that are sharing the stories with each other about Shonen Bat, and this actually goes to show you that how
etc. Yeah.
How the story of Shonen Bat, like the urban legend of Shonen Bat, just keeps growing and growing because these women are telling these stories to each other that, as they keep telling them, gets more and more implausible the more they tell these stories.
But it's funny because spreading messages, spreading words, that's how you give power to something, whether it's political, whether it's an idea, anything at all. The more you talk about it, the more power you give it. And it's the same for Shonen Bat. And man, they portrayed it in such a funny, whimsical way. I didn't care too much for this episode because I don't like gossipy bitches. I'll be 100% off. That's what they were. They were gossipy bitches. I did not care for them.
Housewives do be gossiping.
They do. That being said, how they did the episode was pretty interesting. It was fun.
I love how there's with each, because you know each story is going to be about Shonen Bat, but you don't know exactly how Shonen Bat is going to show up in the story. And that's what I liked. Because, like, so ostensibly, the entire run of this series is a mystery story, right? Like, that's what Shonen Bat is, kind of a mystery.
Mystery slash thriller.
It's a psychological thriller slash mystery.
Thriller, yeah.
But, like, the mystery of, like, Shonen Bat and, like, what is Shonen Bat? Is Shonen Bat real? Is it just an entity? Is it collective delusion? Does it exist? And doesn't even matter if Shonen Bat exists, right? Like, that's kind of what ties all of this together. With mystery stories, right? There's like 3 different ways you can do a mystery story. Right, Shinoda?
Wait, what 3?
So the 3 ways you can do a mystery story is you can tell a mystery story where the characters know the answer to the mystery already, but you, the audience, have to figure it out. You can do it where you, the audience, know the answer already, but you watch the characters figure it out. Or you can do it where neither you nor the characters know the answer, and you figure it out together. That's the 3 ways you can do a mystery story.
Yes.
And each of those 3 can be done very successfully. I can point to examples of all 3 being done well. This Paranoia Agent is a great example of where we, the audience, don't know the answer, and the characters don't know the answer, and we're figuring it out together. And it's so fun, not just figuring it out, but also watching the characters come to the realization of what like Shonen Bat is, and that seeing this delusion, experiencing their own delusions, and breaking themselves out of it.
It's done in such a episode by episode, an episodic way where you don't think some of them even matter, honest to God. But no, everything does eventually connect at the end.
Yeah.
Well, most things.
I would say there's definitely some open like plot threads that are left by the end, but by and large, many of them are tied up pretty well. It's one of the things I love about Satoshi Kon's like writing and his directing is when we get a glimpse into other people's psyches. And we start to question as an audience member, like, what is real and what's just inside someone's head.
And that's one of the things I love so much about this anime, the fact that we got different people's perspective every time. Well, almost every time. We had a couple of repeat perspectives, but most of the time it was different. And you got to see the world through other people's perspectives. And it was just like, yeah, no, this is what they think. This is what's happening to them. And you like get to compare it.
When they arrest and interrogate the fake Shonen Bat.
Yeah.
And they're during the interrogation, like the 2 investigators, the 2 detectives are like drawn in to his like Junibyo fantasy world. and it's great. It's fantastic. It reminds me a lot of Millennium Actress.
No,
because
is.
one of the detectives doesn't want to be in that delusion, and the other one's really gung-ho about it, and he's like reading the D&D style guides.
And I genuinely love that. I don't know. I don't have that much to say about it, honestly, other than what I've already said.
Visually, though, I loved it. It was done very well.
Oh yeah, no. And it's like each time you have a character perspective shift, you get a difference as well.
Yeah, and one thing that Satoshi Kon is kind of famous for is like the match cuts, where when we have a shift in perspective, there's generally going to be a match cut between what we see, and then bam, we get like a facial reaction shot, and then it's like, okay, that's the character whose perspective you're in now.
Yeah, and just the amount of match cuts in this anime.
There's a ton of them.
It was a ton.
Like if you want a good drinking game for Paranoia Agent, take a shot every time you see a match cut, because you'll be drunk by the third episode.
Don't do that, because that's how you get alcohol poisoning. Jesus Christ.
That is something we haven't talked about though, like the visual style of this. Like it's very Satoshi Kon.
No,
it looks
it's 100%.
a lot like his other works. Like even from the very first like frame, right? Because in the very first episode, it goes immediately into the OP, which is also something we haven't talked about. We'll talk about it really briefly here. The music in Paranoia Agent was done by Susumu Hirasawa, who did the music for Paprika, Millennium Actress, and I think that's it. I mean, he's also done stuff for. He did the music for the original Berserk 1997, Berserk 2016. He's done some other stuff too, but he's worked on a couple of other Satoshi Kon projects. Is my point bringing that up? He also composed the music for the OP and the ED for this, and that OP is full of a lot of symbolic imagery.
It's also a banger. I don't know why, but just I almost never want to skip it, because like you go into it, chirp 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 chirp. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
me and my friend Astolfo were watching this together, and oh god, every time it came up, we were just like, oh. It was such a funny thing. I don't know. It's so stupid. But it's such a banger of a song. But I mean, no, like
listen,
symbolically.
Hirasawa makes some good music. I mean, all you got to do is listen to the Berserk 1997 soundtrack, and there's bangers galore in that.
No, it's legitimately good. But no, you're right. That like at first I thought the OP was just weird and out there, and they were just doing their own thing, but like the more I watched them, the more I started picking up on little things here and there. That doesn't spoil anything necessarily, but there are little details in there that you start picking up on.
I mean, the same can be said for the ED, which I mean, obviously the ED is very much tamer than the OP, and it's got that just very childish, like childlike theme. It's called Marami's theme, by the way.
Yeah.
But like even in the visuals for that, which they're definitely way more muted than the OP's visuals, but there's these subtle hints, especially with the characters that you see in the ED. It's like, okay, I see what you're going for here, man.
And it's funny because that ED, it's all it is one long shot of a single scene. That's all it is. You see,
and it just pans over different parts of it.
Yeah, and that's all it is. It's a single frame.
But there's stuff hidden in there.
But there is things hidden in there which speak to the overall story, overall themes that you have to really pick up on. And it's clever because like you could think that ED doesn't really mean anything after watching it once. And completely skip over it, which is what I did most of the time anyway. But still, like, couple of things in there that's that once you actually figure it out, you're like, oh, all right.
Yeah. I think visually this is definitely really, really good. I mean, it's got that nice early 2000s look to it, which I've always appreciated. I know Natai and I were talking about this when we were talking about Satoshi Kon's work in general and like his art style. And the phrase that Natai came up with, it's realistically ugly.
No, but that is like the most succinct way of putting it. It genuinely is.
The characters are well, I won't say none, but very few of the characters in Satoshi Kon's works are what I would call traditionally attractive.
No, they look realistic. They just look like real people that are going about their real day lives. And I love that. They're not like some pretty girl anime poster. They're just, that's just a regular person.
These characters are not designed to be your waifus and husbandos.
No, this is a story about them. This isn't a story about a fucking model. No, it's not.
I mean, there's a story about a prostitute in here, though.
Yeah, but this whole
that was
thing.
actually a really interesting like character thing, which I really wish was explored a little more than it was. Because there's a character that has very clearly has what we would now call dissociative identity disorder. At the time, it was called multiple personality disorder, but that is a outdated term.
Apparently, DID is also outdated now. At least that's what I last heard. I have a friend with DID. That's what they told me.
Whatever it's called now, it's what she has, and I like that there was this very interesting way she had of like pulling out the personality that she wanted by leaving voicemail messages.
Well, I feel like it's not necessarily pulling out. It's more how they communicated with each other.
Yeah.
More than anything.
Because one of the personalities is like a teaching assistant and a tutor, and then the other one is a prostitute.
Yeah, it's straight up prostitute. And funny enough, a prostitute for the same Yakuza that the writer and the policeman were involved in.
Yeah. Again, you got these nice linked character stories, man.
Yeah, it's a world that's in concert.
Yeah, and again, that's another reason I really like this was because while yes, there were episodes that sort of dealt with and explored other characters and didn't really advance the whole mystery element of like who is shonen bad, what is shonen bad. It definitely made it feel like the world was connected because you had these anthology-like stories being told that intersected with the main characters' lives in some way, shape, or form. I mean, because like the prostitute was also a tutor for one of the characters that does get attacked.
Yes, and that's actually one of the connections that the detectives were looking at, because they're like, okay, how are they connected? But turns out they're just a tutor and a student, and that's all it is.
Speaking of that student, I loved that episode in particular because it's like it was a very viscerally real take on what bullying is like.
Oh my god, I hated that little prick of a kid. I really did.
The way he gets bullied is very realistic.
No, to be completely shut out like that, I've seen it happen before, and it's ugly.
And
it's
for
very
something
ugly.
that doesn't even really matter that much, like he wore a baseball cap, he played baseball, and he rollerbladed, like. All because of that, he was ostracized because the whole like shonen bat thing. It's like, it's someone who wears it's because of the physical description of shonen bat. It's like, you kind of resemble that. I don't like you anymore.
And gets completely ostracized to the point where he doesn't go to school anymore, doesn't come out of his room anymore. It got ugly. It got real ugly.
Yeah, but I mean. That happens. That kind of shit. I mean, not necessarily for that reason, but people, especially young children, get bullied for seemingly inconsequential stuff like that, to the point where a lot of them will end up taking their own lives.
No, and that's unfortunately extremely real. That is something that happens. Luckily, we didn't go to those lengths in this, but
I will say that kid though that does get bullied. He's a natural-born politician because he don't give a fuck.
he goes through it, and
And he's so opportunistic. He's like he sees the fake Shonen Bat attack the one kid that's getting a lot of attention now, right?
Yep.
And he doesn't get scared for it. He doesn't think, oh my god, that could happen to me. It's like, this is my chance.
Yeah,
my
how do I
competition has been eliminated.
It's like, how do I use this as an opportunity?
What a natural born politician you are going to turn out to be.
No bullshit. Literally the exact same thing I was thinking. I was just like, wow, you're going to become a great politician in the future if you survive.
You're going to be a great politician one day, my boy.
Little psychopath, you.
Yeah, I understand the some of the criticisms that I've seen of Paranoia Agent. One of them is that, like, after the midway point, the story meanders a little bit until like the last couple episodes, which is kind of true if you're expecting a more straightforward narrative. Because like the happy family planning thing, the one with the gossiping housewives, I mean, would the story be the same if those two episodes weren't there? I would argue, yeah, probably. But it gives like nuance, and it gives heft to this world that's being created.
I honestly argue the 9th episode, etc., which is the gossiping episode. I feel like if you cut that out, it would have been better as a story. I feel like that was such an unnecessary episode that didn't add anything whatsoever.
I can definitely understand that, and especially because the one housewife where she comes home and she finds her husband attacked by Shonen Bat. Yeah. Her main thing is not about getting the guy help. It's about, tell me everything so I can have stories to go back to these catty ass women with.
Give me gossip so I can relate to everyone, and
which is, again, which plays into the theme of like escapism and denial of reality.
Yeah, it's like, instead of getting your husband help, you're asking for, how'd you get attacked? Tell me all the details. It's like,
but like,
what
all
the
of
fuck,
those women
lady?
in that story, all of those, or that episode, all of those women are deriving almost like a purpose, at least in that moment, from gossiping about Shonen Bat. And so she feels like the only way that she can fit in with these other housewives that she wants to fit in with, for whatever reason, is to have like actual stories about Shonen Bat to go back with. Because I think that the two stories that she tries to tell, I think she tries to tell two stories. Like, she gets shut down immediately because the old ladies think that, that can't be true. That's impossible. Meanwhile, these other women are talking about stories where he appeared on a baseball field and like all this, and like stuff like that. Like, bitches, listen, y'all are crazy.
Like, all of you are lying. She's just a terrible liar, is all.
But this is their coping mechanism.
It is. I don't know. I mean,
to be fair, I don't think the series would lose anything by not having that episode. But you can't say that episode doesn't play into the themes of the series.
No, it absolutely does play into the themes of the series, and I feel like maybe what I feel like is it went on too long. They made a whole episode out of it where it could have been 6 to 12 minutes. So it could have been half an episode.
Or they could have interspersed these in other episodes and then have the culmination at the end of one episode where that one housewife comes home and sees her husband attacked.
Oh, that would have been fantastic. That was much longer. Yeah.
I think that could have worked as well. But yeah, I could definitely understand why people might not like that episode. I mean, you also have the episode right after that, which does at least have some connection to one of the I would argue, who is the main character of the story, the Mellow Marami, where you watch the guy who's just essentially a fuck up in an animation studio who can't actually take any kind of, I won't say can't take criticism, but can't accept the reality. He can't accept responsibility that he keeps screwing stuff up. And then he keeps getting tasked with less and less responsibility, and he still keeps fucking it up.
It's funny to me he wasn't fired like quickly, because it it's one thing if you know about Japanese companies, they assign shame and they're like, just resign so that we don't have to deal with you. But this guy
Yeah.
just kept on being persistent and being there until he was eventually fired.
I kept watching that thinking this guy's got to be a nepotism hire, right?
I don't
But I don't
know.
think Japan has a huge history of nepotism.
Yes, it does. Not a huge history, but
But
it definitely
but
has nepotism.
but not in terms of, I mean, I think it does have it at higher levels, but not at low levels like that.
It can.
Maybe
It
I'm
can.
wrong.
I have several Japanese friends. I have been told these
Maybe
stories. They definitely happen.
maybe I am wrong about that, but that's what I kept thinking. It's like, if this were like an American company, he would have been fired by now, unless he was a nepotism hire.
Yeah, I don't know why he wasn't fired sooner. Like even someone like that, even with like the cultural practices, he should have just been kicked out. But
Yeah.
he wasn't.
But I kind of like that episode too because it shows like it's definitely a critique of like Japanese work culture.
Yeah, it was also a fun episode because they're like, these are the animators, and these are not just animators, but everyone in the studio who does their job. This is what they do, and it was.
And I love how visually that's also represented throughout the show because as the one guy is losing his grip on reality, his keyframes start to disappear.
I genuinely love how they started doing that. It was clever. It was very
Yeah.
clever. It was a fun meta episode, is what it was.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really really cool. And also you see the animators like hunched over dead at their stations, their desks, and it's like, yeah, I see the message you were going for, Satoshi Kon. I really see the message you were going for, and he was again way ahead of his time. If he only saw what the animation industry has become.
Oh man, he would if he saw what it was like now, he would make some banger episodes.
I'm telling you, man, it's such a shame we lost Satoshi Kon when we did because I think he'd still be making some absolutely banger stuff, and I guarantee you he'd be making some stuff that would be like throwing a lot of shade at the industry right now.
Oh god, it'd be great. It would legitimately be great.
But as much as people would criticize like this for its meandering a bit, I've said this before, and I think it bears repeating. And I think it shows itself a lot in Paranoia Agent, even more so than his other work. The Western director I associate Satoshi Kon with the most is probably David Lynch. And if you watch any of David Lynch's stuff, you'll understand. Especially watch Twin Peaks. Because number one, it's a great show, but also like there's a lot of really surrealist imagery and characters. It's like, is this real? Is it not? Am I actually just seeing someone's delusion? But I understand that that's not for everyone. And I think a lot of the criticisms for not just this, but other Satoshi Kon's works comes from the fact that it's not the kind of storytelling that's for everyone. And that's fine. It's fine. For me, I love it. I love the surrealist imagery. I love the fact that it's a very non-linear story. It's got mystery elements that you, the audience, have to piece together while the characters are having to piece it together. It's got some red herrings in it. It's got some misdirection. It's got a little bit of subversion of your expectations in there. I mean, for me, it's a complete package, and it's probably my second favorite Satoshi Kon directed work.
I want to say this is probably gonna be my fourth or fifth favorite Satoshi Kon work.
So it's near the bottom for you.
Maybe third. It's definitely after Paprika and Perfect Blue. After that, I'm not so sure. It's a little bit shaky. That being said, no, this was immensely well done in terms of animation and music.
Yeah.
The stories were what was the most interesting thing about it. A couple of them I didn't care for. Most of them were interesting, and it was done in such a way that I was questioning the whole time. I was
Mm.
locked in the whole time because it
Oh
was
yeah.
just so intriguing. And you were constantly questioning, is this real? Is this not? What's the narrative behind this? What's the agenda behind this? What's the characters' wants and needs? Why are they repressed? And once you understand that, what are they looking to do to get out of that? All of this was just so interesting. Then that's why I genuinely like this, and I will be recommending this to
Mm.
multiple other people because I'm like, it's old, it's definitely dated, but man, can it be a bit relevant, even socially?
Yeah. I mean, I would argue it's still relevant today. I mean, and especially like the professional stuff that it critiques, like the animation industry. I would argue that's just as relevant, if not more so, today than when it first came out.
Actually, yeah, no, it's gotten worse. So if anything, like,
Yeah.
it's practically a prophecy.
Yeah.
Um,
So what do you give this out of 10?
You know, Alex, this is a 7 out of 10 for me,
Okay,
and
solid score.
it's a solid score. And the only reason it's a 7 not an 8 out of 10 is because there were several episodes or parts that I didn't necessarily care for or was not as engaged in,
Mm.
and those parts really dragged out for me, like to the point where I'm like, all right, I just want to get through this so that I can get to something interesting. And when I begin to feel like that watching an anime, that drops the score because it should
Okay.
never make
I
me
mean,
feel like that. But
it's
over
a common take with Paranoia Agent I've seen.
Yeah, but overall, no. As I said earlier, immensely interesting. Um, very unique in terms of storytelling and what it was talking about, the messaging,
Yeah.
and it has so many different things that you have to think about and you have to guess as to, did that actually happen or was
Mm.
that just in everyone's head?
Yeah.
And that's interesting. I genuinely like that. It's cool.
It's why that's why I keep coming back to a lot of Satoshi Kon stuff. It's just it's a lot of it is that way, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
For
No.
me, for me, I give it an 8 out of 10 simply because like I was that enthralled in the mystery of Shonen Bat and like what it is, what it means psychologically for all the characters involved, how well that's explored throughout all 13 episodes of this series, the various ways that's explored, ideas of like anxiety, collective delusion, um, uh, coping with modern society, coping with expectations that not only you have for yourself but other people place on you. I thought it was really well done through a lot of these characters. A lot of the characters feel, especially like the main detective guy, feel very real. Many of even with the fantastical elements of like Shonen Bat and the visuals that you see, a lot of the problems that the characters that we experience go through, they feel very real, and they feel grounded in that sense. So yeah, for that and with the visuals and the music, I give it an 8 out of 10. Man, I enjoyed it when I first watched it back in the day, and I really enjoyed it rewatching it.
Yeah. Um. I just thought about something. We never
What?
talked about the old man.
Oh, the old man that recurs in the is it? I think it's supposed to be a hospital.
Yeah, he was in the hospital majority of the time. Um,
Yeah,
just an interesting character that seems to have broken out of the loop and is outside of it, commenting on it.
yeah. Well, and he's also the one that introduces like the on the next episode of at the end of each episode.
And what a unique way he introduced them. He says some nonsensical things that don't mean anything. But
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. It's like he says some things that are completely nonsensical, but it sounds deep. It sounds like fake philosophy.
It sounds like a Reddit philosopher.
Yeah, the ancient master. That's what he was eventually called by my
He's
mom.
like, again, Satoshi Kon being way ahead of his time. He was the fedora wearing Reddit atheist
Oh, Jesus
of 2004. I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. It was just weird. I don't know. I enjoyed that character. I just wanted to say that. But yeah, do we want to close it out?
Yeah, I think that's all we have to say about this. We're finally done with all of Satoshi Kon's directed movies and or TV shows. I think the only thing now that he's directed that we've never even talked about on this podcast is a 1-minute short film that he did like back in 2008. But I don't listen. I'm not going to sit here and do a spoiler cast for a 1-minute short film. You can watch that on your own time.
Yeah. It's probably good.
I mean, I've never seen it, but maybe if it's Satoshi Kon, it probably is. But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed over the last few years going through Satoshi Kon's filmography, and it's been great. It's just a shame that he's gone. That we're never going to get anything, no matter how many times Shinoda asked. Yes, he is still dead.
I don't know, man. We have the advent of spitting on people's graves.
Don't say it, because someone will do it.
It's gonna happen. I'm telling you.
But thankfully, if I will say this, if you're someone like me who loves Satoshi Kon's works and you like his style, his directing, his writing, and you haven't seen it, I highly, highly recommend giving the Monogatari series a try.
It's so zany and out there, but it's very relatable to Satoshi Kon.
I would say, especially in the visual style, however, I mean, the avant-garde stuff is not really necessarily Satoshi Kon, but the visuals of like, is this real or is this actually happening in someone's head? I mean, just listen, I know it's a daunting thing. Just give it a try. Because if you like Satoshi Kon stuff, you'll probably like Monogatari.
If you like quality content, you're going to like it.
Yeah. And I don't want to like put Aki Kishimbo, who's like the chief director of the Monogatari series over at Shaft. Like, I don't want to put him necessarily on the same pedestal as Satoshi Kon, because I definitely think, in my mind, Satoshi Kon is one of the greats. He's up there with Tezuka, Miyazaki, Anno, people like that. I would argue that he is. I know there's a lot of people who I think there are a lot of people who would necessarily criticize his work, which may differ from my opinion on that, but for me, yes, it is. But yeah, I hope if you haven't checked out any of our other reviews that we've done of his films, do check those out. I think now that we've done an entire like spoiler cast or movie reviews for all of his stuff, I may put them all into a playlist.
Yeah.
All of the Satoshi Kon stuff into a playlist for people to go through on their own and enjoy. So if I do that, it'll be linked down below, or you'll see it at the very end of this on YouTube as a little element you can click in the end card. But yeah, thank you, Shinoda, for joining for this. Thank you, everyone, for dropping in to watch us talk about this. Let us know down below what you thought of Paranoia Agent. Where does this rank with Satoshi Kon's other works in your mind? Also, don't forget to like this if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. Check down below in our description where you can find links to all the stuff Anime Club After Dark does. And with all that being said, I have been your host, Alex, and we will see you next time. Say goodnight, Shinoda.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Satoshi Kon.